Another day, another sharp rise in COVID-19 cases in South Korea. The country's prime minister is heading to Daegu to coordinate efforts to tackle the outbreak in the virus-hit city. We have a comprehensive rundown of the latest. China postpones one of its biggest political gatherings in Beijing in light of the outbreak gripping the country. No word yet on when or if it will be rescheduled. Plus, the next 7 to 10 days are the crunch period for South Korea to get a grip on the COVID-19 outbreak. That's the verdict of experts who are working hand in hand with the government to stem the number of new infections. Our starting point this morning, the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases here in South Korea continues to spike. For more details, we are going to connect right away to our Kim Ji-yeon on the line. Ji-yeon, the number of COVID-19 related deaths in South Korea increased again on Monday, and the number of confirmed cases continues to rise as well, particularly in the virus-stricken city of Daegu.
That's right, Mark. The number of newly confirmed patients jumped by 231 from the previous day, raising the total number of cases to 833 as of Monday. The majority of the confirmed patients, 682, are from the southeastern region of Daegu and the surrounding Gyeongsangbuk-do province. Meanwhile, more than half of the confirmed cases, at least 456, were traced to members of the Daegu-based religious group Shincheonji. Local authorities said they're stepping up efforts to track down the remaining Shincheonji members for a thorough investigation. They're to release the test results afterwards. According to the Central Disaster Headquarters of the Korea Centers for Disease Control, there's an estimated 215,000 believers of Shincheonji. It said it will receive the personal identification number, phone number, and residence address of the members. Meanwhile, one more death was reported on Monday, raising the number of coronavirus-related deaths in South Korea to 8. The most recent victim was a 67-year-old hospitalized male patient in Daegu. He was previously a patient at Daenam Hospital in the southeastern county of Cheongdo, where the country's first coronavirus death occurred, and it's where at least 113 people have been infected. With this, the number of coronavirus-related deaths that were patients from the Daenam Hospital has risen to 6. And a 61-year-old woman who is a U.S. Forces Korea dependent living in Daegu has tested positive for the virus. This is the first time a USFK-related individual has been confirmed to have the coronavirus. In response, the USFK raised the risk level to high. Meanwhile, 4 more patients recovered on Monday, increasing the number of those who have been discharged to 22. Mark?
Okay, well, some good news there that more than 20 people have been discharged after making a full recovery. But that doesn't stop the fact that South Korea's health authorities are working 24/7 around the clock to try and contain the virus's spread. How are they adapting to this increasingly worrisome situation?
Well, Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun visits the virus-hit city of Daegu later today to lead the government's containment efforts. The previous day, he stressed the importance of speedy preemptive measures to halt the spread as a nation, and not just focusing on the worst-affected southeastern regions. But Chung denied speculations the South Korean government is considering banning the entry of Chinese as one of its countermeasures. He also added that realistically, it's nearly impossible to delay the April 15th general elections. Back to you.
Okay, Ji-yeon, and we'll bring you more updates on the COVID-19 outbreak here in South Korea if we get any more updates on the numbers, and we will be bringing you coverage of the Prime Minister's visit to Daegu as well as we move on through the day. Now, more and more countries are denying or restricting entry to South Koreans following the spike in coronavirus cases here. The sudden entry restrictions have left some tourists with no option but to fly straight back home or force them straight into quarantine, unable to leave for up to 2 weeks sometimes. Park Se-young with more.
More countries are saying no to tourists from South Korea and asking their own citizens to avoid traveling to the country in order to contain the spread of the novel coronavirus. According to Seoul's foreign ministry, 6 countries, Israel, Bahrain, Jordan, Kiribati, Samoa, and American Samoa, are prohibiting entry to foreigners who have been in South Korea within the past 14 days. And as of Monday, 13 other countries, including the UK, Brunei, Kazakhstan, Macau, Singapore, and Thailand, imposed restrictions on those entering from South Korea, such as placing passengers in quarantine or conducting health checks. These countries have also advised their citizens to avoid traveling to South Korea. And the list is only getting longer. Starting Tuesday, all travelers entering Taiwan from South Korea will be quarantined for 14 days. Also from Tuesday, Hong Kong will ban entry to non-residents arriving from South Korea. Mauritius has also officially announced an entry ban on South Koreans. The island on Sunday reportedly stopped 4 South Korean tourists with fevers and transported them to a hospital. The remaining 30 tourists without symptoms were sent to a quarantine facility. The South Korean Foreign Ministry has lodged a protest over the island's move without prior consultations and urged a prompt resolution. In Vietnam, the local government of Da Nang put all people coming from Daegu, including 20 South Koreans, into temporary quarantine at a local hospital on Monday, again without any prior consultations with Seoul. In Ho Chi Minh City, 3 South Koreans from Daegu, 2 of them who are not showing any symptoms, were quarantined. The Vietnamese government has already advised its citizens to refrain from traveling to South Korea, and Vietnam's Bamboo Airways will suspend all flights to South Korea starting Wednesday. Mongolia will halt all flights to and from South Korea from Tuesday until March 2nd. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
The World Health Organization's Director General says although the COVID-19 outbreak has the potential to become a global pandemic, it is yet to become one based on the WHO's own criteria. During a daily briefing on Monday, Dr. Tedros added the organization's decision to use the word pandemic will be based on an ongoing assessment of the geographical spread of the virus, the severity of disease it causes, and its impact. He added that the world is currently not witnessing an uncontained global spread, and misuse of the word pandemic will only cause panic. The WHO chief has also raised his concerns over the rise of patients in South Korea, as well as Italy and Iran. And the coronavirus outbreak continues to spread around the globe, with figures in Iran and Italy increasing rapidly. Iran's health ministry confirmed 61 cases and at least 12 deaths as of late Monday local time. That makes Iran the country with the highest number of deaths after mainland China. Elsewhere, Italy's National Civil Protection Service announced on Monday that a whopping 229 patients have been confirmed and 7 have died from the virus. Some 30 others are reportedly in critical condition. In the US, nearly 20 new cases were reported Monday, bringing the total number of infected there to 53. 36 of them had been aboard the Diamond Princess cruise ship in Japan. China, meanwhile, is reporting a slowdown in new cases, with some 500 new cases on Monday, the 6th straight day that China has reported a figure below the 1,000 mark. Now, despite this apparent slowdown in the number of cases in China, one of China's most important annual political gatherings, dubbed the Two Sessions, has been postponed for the first time in decades as the country struggles to contain the COVID-19 outbreak. Lee Seung-jae has this report.
China's top legislature approved the draft decision on Monday to delay one of its most important political gatherings slated for March as the country tries to stem the COVID-19 outbreak. The third annual session of the 13th National People's Congress was originally planned to kick off on March 5th in Beijing, but will now be postponed for the first time since China's Cultural Revolution decades ago. The announcement comes as Chinese officials also postponed the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. That was slated for March 3rd. Combined, the two events are known as the Two Sessions and are considered one of the grandest events on China's political calendar. China's legislature uses the gatherings to review the government's work over the past year and to share its economic and social targets for the coming year. Local analysts say the postponement is a first in the history of the Chinese Communist Party, as it hasn't happened since the country's reform. Others say the decision to delay the sessions indicates that Beijing's top priority right now is tackling the COVID-19 outbreak. It's not yet known when the two sessions will be rescheduled, as watchers say it'll depend on how epidemic prevention and related control work evolves. 이승재, Arirang News.
South Korean officials have stressed that the next 7 to 10 days are a crucial period in their bid to contain the spread of the coronavirus here in the country. Opinions are divided, but some experts say the number of confirmed patients could reach its peak in the next couple of days before steadily slowing down. Ji-young reports.
South Korea is struggling to curb the spread of COVID-19 with the number of confirmed cases increasing rapidly in the country. A government official said Sunday that the next 7 to 10 days will be key in containing the virus and that the number of confirmed cases is expected to peak in the next 2 to 3 days.
It is now limited in certain regions, but if community-based transmission cannot be prevented effectively, it could spread nationwide.
The government raised its virus threat alert to critical, the maximum level in a 4-tiered system. However, an expert says that there are too many patients for the situation to settle in a matter of just a few days.
It is too early to say that the number of patients will reach its peak in the next 7 to 10 days because too many patients have been confirmed. Suspected cases are increasing because they have been in contact with confirmed patients.
The expert added that because there is no vaccine or direct cure yet, it is not easy to completely block the spread.
At this point, it is best to minimize the harm in the regions expected to be damaged the most. In that perspective, it is hard to expect the disease to cease to spread in the near future.
Most confirmed cases are from a religious organization in the country's southeastern city of Daegu. The police has succeeded in locating 221 out of 242 people related to the Shincheonji Church of Jesus on Monday. Their whereabouts was previously unknown. Ji-young, Arirang News.
Now, as the outbreak here in South Korea becomes ever more severe, the government says it's moving towards a strategy now of mitigation. This strategy aims at shifting resources to minimize the total damage and contain the number of new infections going forward. Lee Kyung-in reports.
South Korea's efforts to fight the coronavirus outbreak will move beyond the current quarantine strategy to a mitigation strategy. A quarantine strategy is applied in the early stages of an outbreak when the primary goal is blocking the virus from entering the country, such as by enhancing inspections at airports or issuing travel restrictions. This strategy is still viral in the beginning stage of community-based transmissions, where the country should still focus on isolating infected patients and those they have come in contact with. But when the outbreak enters an advanced stage where the virus spreads into general communities, it is time to move on to a new strategy as it becomes impossible to track the links between patients.
In that phase, the country should focus on mitigating the total damage to society. It should use limited resources more effectively by separating patients based on the severity of their symptoms and dedicating more resources to high-risk patients.
On Monday, following the latest spike in infections, the government announced that the country is in transitional period where both strategies will be carried out simultaneously.
Following the upgrade in the crisis alert level, we are going to apply the mitigation strategy to special management zones while keeping the quarantine strategy in place elsewhere depending on the respective levels of contagion.
Prior to the government's announcement, some 11 medical communities suggested specific plans for the strategy on Saturday. Topping the list was establishing an emergency medical delivery system, citing the case of Daegu, which is currently suffering from medical shortages due to the series of clusters of infections. Experts also said companies should allow ill workers to work from home and use flexible work hours without a doctor's prescription. However, they added that as well as the government's measures, it is crucial that the public follows personal hygiene advice to prevent an explosive surge of infections. Lee Kyung-in, Arirang News.
South Korea and the United States are considering downscaling their joint military drills in March due to the COVID-19 outbreak. This is according to US Defense Secretary Mark Esper, who was speaking at a press conference at the Pentagon on Monday after talks with his South Korean counterpart, Jong Yong-do. Jong explained that any changes won't impact the allies' combined defense posture. The two sides still have computer-simulated training exercises planned for next month. President Moon Jae-in is pressing for an extra budget as the country engages in a two-pronged battle, preventing the spread of coronavirus any more than it is now and minimizing its fallout on the South Korean economy, which is turning out to be a big problem. Kim Min-ji reports.
President Moon Jae-in has asked the government to look into drawing up a supplementary budget for dealing with COVID-19. Speaking in a meeting with his top aides on Monday, Moon said it's the government's role to ease the economic shock, stressing that aggressive fiscal injections are needed to minimize the fallout on companies, spur domestic spending, and revive local economies.
예비비를 신속하게 활용하는 것에 더해 필요하다면 국회의 협조를 얻어 추경 예산을 편성하는 것도 검토해 주기 바랍니다.
This was the first session with his aides in South Korea raised its epidemic alert level on Sunday to the highest level of critical. The president said the government is marshalling exceptional resolve and will mobilize all its capabilities to both minimize the fallout on the economy and prevent the spread of COVID-19. Moon called in particular for speedy inspections of followers of a religious group known as Shincheonji, to which a majority of the confirmed cases have been linked. Moon also ordered the thorough management of risk factors, not only in regions designated as special care zones, but other areas as well.
정부는 비상한 경제 시국에 대한 처방도 특단으로 해야 합니다. 정책적 상상력에 어떤 제한도 두지 말고 과감하게 결단하고 신속하게 추진해야 합니다.
Also invited to Monday's session were specialists in infectious diseases and medical experts to give advice. The president vowed to reflect those discussions in the government's quarantine steps. And last but not least, Moon again asked the public for trust in the government's quarantine measures and for them to join forces to overcome this difficult situation. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
The world's financial markets got absolutely slammed on Monday, with investors rattled by rising concerns over the impact of the coronavirus. US markets sank big time as pandemic fears over the surge in confirmed infections in South Korea, Italy, Iran and other places, which are seeing large clusters of cases outside China, continue to make the headlines. The Dow Jones Industrial Average lost over 1,000 points, or 3.5%, to close at 27,960. It was the worst day for the Dow in more than 2 years. The S&P 500 was down over 100 points, or 3.3%, and the Nasdaq slumped 3.7% to 9,221. On the oil markets, Brent crude tumbled 4% to $56.22. WTI also fell sharply to close at just over $50 a barrel. South Korea's sports and culture sectors are doing what they can to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. K-pop stars BTS held their new album launch press conference on YouTube instead of in front of a packed house of reporters and fans. And the local professional football league here is postponing its opening matches to prevent crowds from gathering there as well. Kan Hyang-woo has this report.
After dropping their new album, Map of the Soul 7 last Friday, K-pop stars BTS held their album launch press conference on Monday afternoon. But instead of holding a normal press conference in central Seoul as previously planned, they aired it live on their YouTube channel, Bangtan TV. The band's agency Big Hit Entertainment said this was to prevent large groups of people coming together in an enclosed space in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. K-pop girl band Twice have also called off their world tour finale concerts that were due to take place in Seoul on March 7th and 8th. The band's agency JYP Entertainment said the decision was to protect the health and safety of the fans and cooperate with the Korean government's policies to counter the virus. And it's not just global K-pop artists who are joining the effort to prevent the further spread of the virus. Street performers are taking their own precautionary measures. Here in Hongdae, the streets are usually packed with singers, bands, and dancers, but they have now mostly emptied out. The hope to prevent crowds, large or small, from gathering. Starting Monday, South Korea's Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism is shutting down its 24 national museums and libraries across the country. The Seoul Arts Center has put a temporary hold on this week's special exhibitions and postponed its music and art classes. In Korea's professional football league, the K-League has delayed the start of the new season. The 2020 campaign was set to begin this weekend. The league is expected to announce an updated season schedule once the coronavirus outbreak dies down. Busan is also considering postponing the World Team Table Tennis Championships scheduled from March 22nd to 29th. 간영우, Arirang News.
Disgraced former Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein has been found guilty of sexually assaulting dozens of women, including actresses and models. For more on this and other news from around the world, let's turn to our Yoon Jung-min. Jung-min, tell us more about this highly significant case.
Sure, Mark. A New York jury on Monday convicted Weinstein, once one of the most powerful figures in Hollywood, of sexual assault on 2 counts. Weinstein was convicted of third-degree rape and a first-degree criminal sexual act. But he was cleared of more serious predatory sexual assault charges that could have come with a life sentence. However, the 67-year-old still faces up to 25 years in prison. He will be sentenced on March 11th. He also still faces charges in Los Angeles of assaulting 2 women in 2013. At least 80 women have accused him of sexual misconduct, including actresses Gwyneth Paltrow, Uma Thurman, and Angelina Jolie. Weinstein denied all the charges, but the jury found him guilty of sexually assaulting his former production assistant Mimi Harley in 2006 and raping Jessica Mann in 2013, who had been an aspiring actress. Weinstein's lawyer said they will appeal the conviction immediately. The movie executive once enjoyed huge success with dozens of Oscar winners, including Pulp Fiction, Good Will Hunting, and The King's Speech. Huawei has unveiled its new foldable smartphone, the Mate XS, in a pre-recorded broadcast. The latest device contains Huawei's flagship 5G chips. However, like its predecessor, the Mate X, it uses its own mobile operating system rather than Google's Android system, as the U.S. blacklisted Huawei last year. The device will be sold at some $2,700 and go on sale worldwide from next month. The Chinese tech giant was supposed to launch its new gadget at the Mobile World Congress, but the event was cancelled amid COVID-19 fears. NASA's pioneering mathematician Katherine Johnson has died at the age of 101. NASA announced her death on Twitter on Monday, saying it was honoring her legacy of excellence that broke down racial and social barriers. The African-American female mathematician calculated rocket trajectories and Earth orbits for NASA's space missions. She also played a key role in sending humans to the moon. Her accomplishments were portrayed in the film Hidden Figures, which was released in 2016. Johnson was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2015.
Good morning. It's a rainy Tuesday for most parts of the country, so keep an umbrella handy. It's forecast to rain all day today. In fact, parts of Gangwon province will see more than 80 millimeters of rainfall, while the rest will see 10 to 60 millimeters. Meanwhile, mountainous regions in Gangwon province will see heavy snowfall, with a heavy snow advisory now being issued since early this morning. And afternoon highs will be a few notches lower than yesterday for other upper and central regions. And here in the capital, we'll get up to 9 degrees Celsius this afternoon. Meanwhile, highs in southern provinces will be in the mid-teens, while Jeju will get up to 20 degrees Celsius. But coastal regions and inland areas will see winds picking up in the afternoon. Wet weather will let up today, while Jeju Island will see showers until early tomorrow, while the East Coast could see some snow through Thursday. That's Korea for you, and here's the international weather for views around the world.
Well, that's all the news and weather we have for now on this Tuesday morning here in Seoul, South Korea. Stay tuned to us here on Arirang TV, and I'll be back with our next newscast at noon Korea time. So until then, goodbye.